us
Correct. Yeah, and there's nobody else.
other than Gary. Hello, Gary. Well,
He's muted.
okay.
My hands-free device doesn't work too well when I'm got police by me, but anyway,
Yeah,
welcome
he's
to everybody.
driving.
Welcome.
Hi, Gary.
I'm going to mute here, so back to hands on the steering wheel.
Michelle, I know it's 3:59. We're recording and we're live streaming on YouTube.
Okay. So shall I wait the 1 minute to officially begin at 4?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be watching if anybody does join. I'll make sure that they come into the meeting.
Okay.
Oh, we got one more person coming in. Oh, another person. Get them on. Okay, I'm showing 4 o'clock. Michelle, you want to take it away?
All right. Well, I am Michelle Hampton. I am president of the Salary Commission for this year, and I would like to welcome you all this Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, to what we believe to be our final meeting of the Salary Commission for 2020. Ms. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hampton.
Here.
Commissioner McManus.
Here.
Commissioner Fernald.
Here.
Commissioner Bennett.
She is muted.
She is muted. I see her, but I just need her to say hi. While she's fixing her audio, Commissioner Ben is not going to be attending tonight, so I think we do need a motion to excuse her.
Okay. Can I get a motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Ben?
Motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Ben.
And a second, please. Sue, do you want to second that? Carolyn is still not unmuted.
I think she might be frozen, unfortunately.
Oh. Okay, so right now we have a motion. It has not been seconded, and we can take no action until it has been seconded. And did we just lose Commissioner Fernald?
Yes.
Looks like it.
Okay, so we'll pause a moment while we figure out our technical difficulties.
I think you can go ahead and second, Michelle, just to have this motion wrap up.
Okay, I will second Commissioner McManus's motion. And let us go ahead and vote. Carolyn, are you unmuted yet? Can we hear you? We can see you.
Could you restate what you had said? I lost the connection for a couple of seconds there.
Yes, there was a motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Ben. And it has been seconded. And so now we need to take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained?
I think we can go with that as a majority. Commissioner Bennett, can you hear us? Can you wave if you can hear us? Okay, I think you're just working out your audio. Because yeah, we cannot hear you. It looks like you're muted. Let me ask her to unmute.
Okay, how about that?
Oh, there we
Hey.
go. Yay.
All right.
Hi, Carolyn.
Now we're all here. Okay, great. Have we still got Sue Fernald?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay. So our first action item is the approval of our October 19, 2020 minutes. I presume everybody had a chance to review them. Does anyone have any comment or corrections?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting of Monday, October 19, 2020?
Motion to approve
Motion.
the minutes from September 19, 2020.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 19, 2020, and a second. Any further discussion? Any comments, inquiries, anything we need to discuss before these are approved? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion to approve has passed. All right. The next item on our agenda is our public hearing. And that is part of our requirement so that the salary for the mayor, which has become a full-time position, can go forward, and we are abiding by the rules and regulations of our local and county requirements. Ms. Anya, do you want to present anything about today's hearing?
I will be brief. I will just say that the commissioner, I don't know if it looks like there's a couple people in the public, but the commissioners, just to give you a history, reviewed comparable cities for the city council salary. They had discussion regarding COLA, and the motion on the table that we were talking about today is to set the city council's 2021 salary at the COLA $558 plus the COLA for non-represented city staff for 2021. The city staff was COLA was approved in the budget by city council of a 1.25%. So that would be, if that's what the commission wanted to move forward with, that would be the COLA that the non-represented got.
Okay. And that is what we are here to have public hearing regarding. And so if there's any other comment you wish to make?
I was just going to add that if we were to take $558 and multiply that by a 1.25% increase, that would be a total of $564.98. Each council member would get paid monthly, plus the $80 per meeting for up to 4 meetings a month, which is also in your motion. That would be an increase of $6.98.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing and thank the folks who we can see are also attending this meeting virtually. And we've had our staff presentation. I won't ask Ms. Anya to do that again, but I'd like to open the public comment portion of the hearing. And Clerk Kelly, I'm going to ask you to be in charge of identifying the persons who would like to speak and calling on them, and then we will be happy to listen to whatever input they may have for us.
Absolutely. So go ahead and use the raise hand feature in Zoom if you want to speak, or go ahead and just state your name. We don't have that many people on the line, so I think you could just blurt out your name if you'd like to say something to the Salary Commission. I am not seeing any hands raised, and our few attendees have their cameras off. So I do not see any public comment.
Okay, let's just give it another moment. Again, anybody who would like to speak, now is the opportunity. And we're going to give you just a little bit more time in case you're having any technical difficulties. And if no one comes forward, then we will go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing. So we'll just, we'll give you another maybe 30 seconds or so. And Ms. Clerk, if you will continue to monitor.
Absolutely.
Okay, has anyone identified or given a signal?
There is nobody. Or
Okay,
no.
all right. All right, well, then I think it would be appropriate to close the public comments portion of the hearing. Is there anything that the salary commissioners would wish to say at this time before we in fact close the public hearing? And you don't have to. It's just any extra thoughts or things you may have that concern the city council salary that we had put into place. Okay, seeing none.
Had her hand up.
Carol
Oh,
had-
Ann?
Yes, I did. So this is not in regards specifically to the council's, council members' salary. However, I did want to ask if we could kind of gather the communications that have been made with Mrs. Wong regarding the mayor's salary and ordinance 1107. I believe Commissioner McManus, you'd had some email exchange with her.
I did.
Okay.
I
And has there
responded
been,
to- I responded to the email that Anya forwarded to all of us.
I'm sorry?
I responded to the email
Oh,
that Anya had forwarded to all of us as commissioners.
right. I was just thinking that it might be prudent if we could all kind of just be transparent there in the communication. Does that sound reasonable?
It does. I was advised by Kelly that we could not hit reply all so that the other commissioners could see what I wrote due to the quorum rules.
Right. And if there have been any other communications, just as, just thinking that as we move forward, just to kind of be transparent in our operations, if we could have, kind of get copied on any communication that goes out regarding especially the mayor's salary. There seems to be so much interest in it right now, just within the community. That's my request.
Yeah. I don't know how we would do that actually without breaking the quorum rules. Kelly, can you provide some guidance on that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. Carolyn gave me a heads up that she might bring this up. I would rather have you contact me or Anya, or send it to me or Anya, so we can compile the communication and then go ahead and send it out to all the commission members. So you're right, so that we're not starting a conversation by quorum on email.
Sure.
So we're happy to, Anya and I are both happy to help with that. If you want to go ahead and forward your communication and your back and forth conversation with any citizens regarding the mayor's salary or the council member's salary, feel free to send it to me, and then I can then forward it on to all of you.
Okay.
Because you're right. I mean, we got to be really careful about the Open Public Meetings Act and just having conversations with more than 3 of you. So.
Okay, Carolyn, thank you. Well taken point. Any other comments about the city council salary and the new COLA and the application before we close the public hearing?
I have a comment, but it's not about city council. It's regarding the mayor's salary. Is this at the time or
Okay,
is there?
well, no, let's actually do that under new business, which will be next.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any other comments on the city council salary, which will be effective 2021? Okay, hearing none. Let's go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to new business. Oh, we need a
If
motion.
there's any more discussion, then
Yeah.
a motion.
Okay, so no more discussion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and in order to close the public hearing, I need a motion to do so, please.
Motion to close the public hearing portion of this meeting.
And may I have a second.
Second the motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion is passed. On to new business. Nope.
We need a motion for the salary now.
Oh,
That's what we need.
pardon me. All right, so in order to tie this up in a nice little bow, what we need is a motion to officially set the city council salary effective 30 days after filing at 558 with a 1.25% COLA increase. Their salary would then come out to $564.98, and they would also be entitled to claim up to 4 meetings a month at $80 per meeting. So if I could have a motion to that effect, please,
To allow you to file it.
so that I can file with the city to make that effective.
Motion to accept the COLA increases for 2021 for the city
And authorize me to file with the city.
and authorized to file with the city.
We need it spelled out.
Oh, okay. Can you be a little bit more specific to say that Commissioner Hampton is authorized to file the salary rate with the city, for the city council?
Motion to allow commissioner to file the salary rate with the city council, for the city council with the city.
Does that pass muster on you?
We need the amount
Oh,
or the rate.
would you please include the amount, which
with
is
the-
$558 with a 1.25% COLA increase?
I'll have to start writing this down.
and the 80, and the-
And the meetings. $80 per meeting, up to 4 meetings monthly.
What was the original 558?
Right.
You can make 5, 6,
So motion for Commissioner Hampton to forward our recommendation for the COLA increase from 558 to 564.98 plus a meeting budget of $80 per, representing a 1.25% increase for the city council members.
Okay, and the meetings are $80 up to 4 meetings.
$80 up to 4 meetings.
Okay. All right, I think we got it this time. Thank you. And may I have a second, please?
Second it.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second to approve the city council salary schedule and authorize me to file that with the city pursuant to our codes and regulations. May I have a second? We have a second?
We do.
Okay,
We do.
great. And so now let us proceed to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. All right, now I think we can move on to new business. So Sue, you had a comment or query about something?
Yes, I do. I've given this a lot of thought and a lot of sleepless nights. I feel that we may have gotten lost into the position of the mayor going from part-time to full-time during the term versus looking at the positions as a standalone only. And last night at City Council, and I printed out the stuff last Friday, I think, I don't feel personally we had the same information that was presented to City Council last night. I think some things were left off on what we had versus on what I printed out. And we're somewhere between 28 to 60,000 yearly off difference of the comparable cities. And that bothers me in the fact that we want Lake Stevens to stand above the other cities. We want to be proud of our city. We have quite a bit of commercial property coming in, a lot of things happening in the future, along with a tremendous task of the lake overflowing and a lot of things like that. So I'm a little struggling with the numbers we worked off of versus the numbers presented, and that we seem to, as I was reading back, got tied up in, it was first year of Mayor Gurley versus looking at an outsider coming in. So that is what I wanted to share.
Okay, do you have any thoughts or recommendations?
Well, you know, on October 22nd in the Herald, I don't know if you can see that, it doesn't matter. Linwood, which was a city comparatively size, and I do realize Commissioner McManus brought up that Linwood does have more commercial, but we are headed to somewhat more. They raised to $124,000 the mayor pay. I can't say if the other cities have put out their 2020 on what they presented. I just feel like they presented somewhere between 108 to 142 with an average at 118. And I think for me, we're too far off at 80,000 to be comparable to the cities of same, like, things like that. So that's what I wanted to bring up, so I would have it off my chest. That's how I'm struggling.
Okay, all right. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments? And thank you, Sue, for sharing that with us.
Well, yeah, actually I do. So I watched the meeting last night as well, and I saw the numbers that were put out by the city, and I looked at our numbers that we were given, and they're not that far off. I'm not sure where the new Linwood figure is coming from. I did not hear that discussed last night. I might have missed it. But the chart that they gave the council last night in their packet shows the Linwood mayor at the same rate that we have reviewed at 9,356. I'm not sure where his raise came from or if it just was announced. I think there's a lot more at play here. I think when you look at the size of Linwood, we can't just look at residents. We can't just look at retail or business. We have to look at also the complexities. They have light rail coming right through their city. They've got 2 intersecting major freeways, a state highway. They have a lot going on in Linwood. Much bigger personnel to review. Their size of government is a lot bigger than Lake Stevens. I think we're in a transition year. I think there was a lot of mistakes in how things were set up to go to a full-time mayor. I'm not disputing the need for it, and I think Brett's doing a good job. But the simple fact is, during the time we are in economic times we're in right now, I think that salary that we gave, which is median to the city, that's our average residential income is right around $80,000 for a 2-family income in the city of Lake Stevens, according to the Census Bureau. So when you look at the cities, I don't think you can look at even Marysville. I mean, their complexity is larger than ours as well, right? They've got every transportation issue we have. They have a sovereign nation they deal with. They're much bigger in population. So I don't think we can compare. I don't like to take the highest and the lowest and throw an average. That's how we used to call that cheating when I was a kid, right? To get your score up. So I don't think that that's something we should look at personally. And I may be wrong, but that's my feelings on it, that when you look at comparable cities based on population, based on all the other complexities, 2 things come up. I think we're at a fair rate to start with. Like we said, we can review this next year. And when the mayor puts out, some different things, it's had some time to get his feet under him, and we actually have a clear agenda. We have policies that are put into effect and actually show some results. I think that's when we look at giving him a raise, like any other employee of any other organization would be reviewed, right? An annual review. And we can determine what that is. If we determine we need to right size him by 10,000, 20,000, we can do that. But I think in this first year, based on the court of public opinion and other things, and the, quite frankly, dirty pool of trying to pass ordinance 1107 by the city council, I think that we have to hold our ground here. We came up with a good salary. We all agreed on it. They have not, in my opinion, given us any information that would change my mind on how we agreed earlier. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Carolyn, did you have any comment you wanted to add?
I do. I appreciate the staff recommended figures of 118 as a base, and on the staff report dated yesterday. It's documented that I was really pushing for 90 to 100,000 per year as base. And I still am very strongly sensing that right around 100,000 to me would be appropriate and right from everything that I've seen. I just feel that, you know, we can go back and discuss this more in January. But I'm going to stand firm that I do think that probably at this point, about 100,000 would be what I would put forth. And, you know, I guess I'm a little confused on Brian, your comment about comparable residential median salary, because to me, that seems to be a different kind of metric to look at in considering, you know, what the mayor position includes. And we're looking long-term down the road, doesn't matter who's filling the position. But from my perspective, I guess residential median salary is kind of a different animal. So in evaluating all this.
Yeah, I think it's just another data point, Carolyn. You know, it's another metric that I think stands up just as tall as any metric the city's put forward to us, to be honest with you, as far as population counts. They don't really address anything in the complexity. There's no numbers here on economic development, on business coming into the city, on revenue impacts. We all know Costco may or may not be coming. We haven't seen it yet, you know, and we can't spend that money before it arrives. I think that's fiscally imprudent. I will state that the mayor did say, and both candidates stipulated before the election, that they could absolutely govern this job as a part-time mayor at the salary they were given. So given that we're rushing this through, it seems like to the public, and that's the overwhelming majority of people I've spoken to, and I've spoken to a lot of people in the last couple of months about this issue, is that it just seems a little underhanded. So I think that starting with a good base salary that's not going to, you know, the mayor's not going to go hungry, let him perform for a year. And I'll also throw it out there that I don't think we revisit this in January. I think we revisit this annually, meaning next year around this time to give him an increase in pay. We've already made this decision. I think pressure from the council, Ordinance 1107, should be ignored, quite frankly. They're not operating in a fiefdom. It's about what the people want. And I think Commissioners Jorstad, Commissioner Dickinson, and also Sean Fredericks, Councilman Fredericks, all kind of agreed with that last night. So I'm not sure why we're backpedaling or even considering changing things. We agreed that we would review it next year. I think we came to a good decision. Whether or not someone likes it, you know, they have the opportunity to get a job somewhere else. I mean, just like any other employer, it's, you know, you took it under the pretenses of you were going to be part-time, getting paid an X amount. Now we're moving it to full-time. There's a lot of citizen pushback on that. I would say two things can happen. The city can override us and go to 1107. We can file an amendment or a lawsuit to cancel that. Or we can recall the mayor and go with the new salary and see what we get for candidates. We might have a much higher caliber candidate coming in at that rate. So I think there's a lot of things to consider here, but I think the position we've taken is a very valid position. It was well received by the community during the input, and I think we have to hold our ground.
Okay,
I'd like to,
go ahead, Sue.
on Commissioner McMahon's, I agree on some of the things, but I'm struggling on the 80,000 medium for two families. When I looked at the city salaries, they're fairly up there for the administrators. They truly are. And if you have someone working for the city and a school teacher, I'm struggling where 80,000 or less is two incomes. That's just a statement I'm making. Also, 1107 last night, it disappointed me in the sense that I have volunteered for 14 years in this city in many capacities. I've been a commissioner since 2014, and I take this serious. This is something I take very serious. I was Aquafest president, so many things. I've done United Way for low-income taxes, and to state by Mr. Marcus Taggett at a meeting prior that we did not do our job, I take that as a personal insult because I give everything I have when I volunteer with nothing in return. If this was to move to under city council, this portion, I feel like you have each other saying, give me this amount. I don't know the word, like a good old boy. And I think that open up quite a stir in this city that's somewhat divided to begin with. I think you always need to have a salary commissioner or a veteran commission or a park committee, but to say, I didn't care for the decision, so we're going to take it away. And if that's your choice, you take it away at a time when the decisions aren't important.
Correct.
Because it really, really hurt me in the sense for the amount of time I've given to say that I didn't take this serious. And so I'm going to go a different route to get what we think. That is why I'm opening it up, because I did look at all of the paperwork. I dug through all of mine, everything I saved, and I think we were off at 80,000 personally, based on the sheets last night presented that are a little different than what we got, because what we got, we did not have 2 cities listed. We did not have, where is it? We did not have,
I can speak to that too if you would like.
15 cities listed originally, and the city
Original.
council looked at 5.
Yeah, we didn't have Mount Vernon, and we were, I think, off on Arlington when we looked at everything. So that's why I'm saying I think we got moved a little bit in the sense that a part-timer took a full-timer versus had there not been a person in it. And that's how I went into this, that there wasn't a person in it. What does Lake Stevens want to stand for when the other cities pull the same type of sheets? When they go, when their HR goes and gets comparison? Do we want to be the lowest man on the totem pole? And well, Lake Stevens, you know, whatever, they're not wanting as much as maybe another city. I mean, it is hard to compare cities. This is what I did for a living at a college.
Yep.
Is doing budget analyzing of salaries. It's a little different when you're comparing a program assistant to a program assistant. It really is. But I came from Spokane as a program coordinator. It was a decent wage. I moved to Bellevue, same pay, no change.
Right.
Tremendous cut in pay for the economic section of Bellevue. It didn't take long for me to realize that at the college, what they did is they upgraded you. They couldn't give you a raise in your position. They changed your scope.
Right.
Because the cost of living in King County was 30 years ago. So I'm just saying that as we looked at this, and I felt now last night or looking back, we didn't have this annual low, average, high, whatever. We didn't have all that in front of us. And we were looking more at a part-timer took it, knowing it was part-time. They're asking for it. And I personally do not want to see city council voting the mayor's salary, regardless of who it is in there.
Sure. So if I'm hearing your concern, you're concerned that if we hold the line here, the city council is going to try and act 1107 and take the power away from the salary commission. Is that one of your concerns?
I don't have a concern in that. I do believe they could.
Okay.
But
So-
my concern is I think we got caught in something else and didn't have these figures in front of us as they were presented last night, and I printed out, that we may have started too low. I'm with Carol, 100,000, review it in a year. And it was mentioned, I think last night, reviewed for a COLA. I'm not sure that's what we thought of in a year. I think we thought of a performance raise, not a COLA, but it was mentioned, yes, they give a COLA every year. We need to clarify that also.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, when we say we'll review it in a year, in my mind, that means a year from when we said we were going to review it, not January 1st, a new calendar year, right? So we're going to essentially, what the mayor is asking for, what the city council is asking for the mayor is a 535% increase in pay when he's been on the job for how long? How many months?
12, 11.
So coming up on 1 year, he's going to get a $535,000 raise. Now, granted, that's inflated because he's looking at going from part-time to full-time, and I understand that. but 80,000, do the math, it's a pretty good raise anyway, right? So my point would be, at this point, and I think Commissioner Ewing during last night's meeting made a huge error. He kept saying we were hung up on the all-in costs, right? Fully loaded with benefits being around $170,000 under their proposal of $118,636 base salary with benefits. Well, I'm sorry, that's what it costs you to carry that employee. So I'm not sure what his argument was other than backwards, in my opinion, but that's the full in cost to the city to give him that pay structure, right, that they're asking for. And at 100,000, you're probably around 133, 135, all in with the benefit package, and that's fuzzy math. So as commissioners, we have to look at the total impact to the city, not just the mean average. And we did on our original sheet. If you look at our original sheets they gave us a part-time average and a full-time average that we looked at. Now, granted, that was without Arlington and without, I think, Mount Vernon. We didn't have the information for Mount Vernon when we made that decision at the time. So if we're going to revisit this, I don't think we're going to come to an agreement tonight. I think we need to have a very in-depth conversation. I was a little disappointed that, none of the council reached out to us before they had their meeting previous to last night's meeting. I'm with you. So I took it kind of personally at first, right? Because we are volunteering to do this and, we're trying to get involved and help the city. It seemed dismissive to me. And that was just wrong, I think, personally, but that's a whole nother ball of wax. So if we're going to reevaluate the mayor's salary now and give him a raise right now, I think we need to put that on an agenda, and that needs to be part of a public open forum for discussion.
Yes, I would agree with you that if we were to do that, we would need to schedule a whole new set of meetings and go through the process again. I'm going to add my 2 cents here. And I will say, first of all, 1107 I thought was incredibly, dismissive is a good word. Again, it's one of those, I don't like what you did, therefore I'm going to say you didn't do your job. I know I put my sincere efforts into it. And I know all of us did because I was there and I heard all of the discussions and the what ifs and should we, and look at this and look at that. I think we did do our jobs. Going by something, Sue, you had said, is that our administrators are paid a very hefty or healthy, however you want to say it, salary. That is correct. They are. And just because all other cities also do that, does that make it right? That's like, if everybody jumps off the bridge, are you going to jump too? And because, we are in the economic status that we are in as a city. Costco, hopefully, yes, but will we see any money from that? No, not for about 2 years. And right now, there's not a lot of growth that's going on. We are in a more depressed economic time right now where people are just grateful to still have their jobs. And I kind of feel like, to use an old colloquialism, 1107 would basically be putting the fox in the chicken coop. And there's a reason why the city established the salary commission. And I guess maybe we're doing our job if not everybody likes what we're doing. Maybe that's a good measure. So I believe that salary commission is here because it was a forethought to determine that the city will need a level of checks and balances. And that's where we come in. So all of that to say, I think we should stay with what we decided and what has already been passed and what has already been filed, and when we agreed to do an annual review, which our meetings generally start somewhere around September, October, and we meet a couple of times toward the end of the year. I think everything can be on the table at that point. I don't think we have to limit our conversation or our thoughts about how it's going in the city. What is the mayor actually doing? Looking at the mayor's job in and of itself, because we will have some experience now as to what a full-time mayor is running around doing on behalf of the city for us. And I think we'll have a better perspective as to how to move forward. And just, I have to keep coming back to, just because everybody else does it, does that mean we also have to? And I want to say the answer to that is not always. And so my 2-cent opinion is, I think we all did a good job. I think we all put in our sincere efforts. We had good conversations to reach the point that we reached and the agreement that we reached for the starting point. And I will say finally that harsh words and bully tactics, not the way to go. I would have much preferred during the process for city council or the mayor or a group of whomever would be appropriate to have reached out to us. Instead, we had no communication whatsoever. All right, that having been said, any other comments, any other new business?
Yeah, so Chair Bennett, I agree with you 100%. And I think that right now, when we look forward, we're being asked to hurry up and look backwards and forward very quickly here in this situation. I think when we look backwards, we don't have enough to justify an increase. I think when we look forward and review, if let's say we keep it as it is now, next September when we get together, start reviewing it, I am not opposed to upsizing him to the figures the city has. We will have a lot more things. Hopefully this COVID thing will be passed. Business will be back to somewhat normal, and we'll be receiving more business taxes and so forth. Maybe we'll have a chance for the city to actually mature some of these relationships like Costco and get them, when they break ground, I'm a little more open to taking out a loan for to pay city bills when you got breaking ground on a Costco that is going to generate revenue at a certain exponential amount, right? So I think for now, there is no need to hurry. I'm not a big person on comparisons as far as stature goes. We've been a small puddle in Snohomish County for a long time with a part-time mayor. I think we're making a good decision to move to a full-time mayor. I think we have to do that fiscally smart and move slowly, because the optics are horrible for anybody looking in as a common citizen. The optics are terrible. And 1107 did not help those optics at all. So I think it would be very smart. I will ask the mayor directly. It's a leadership issue. He needs to tell the city council he's accepting what he's getting. He is happy to push hard next year to get himself upsided to that 118, 120, whatever we decide. And it's not a percentage, it's not a COLA, it's what we decide next year. So if we feel he's done a great job and the city's in a fiscal position where they can afford this, then I'm all in on giving him what the job is worth. Right now, we don't know what that job is worth. We're trying to determine that, right? And we all sat down with everything we had. And again, I don't think there's more compelling evidence to show me to change my mind. And I think we hold our line, just like Chair Hampton said, and we revisit this next year. I mean, based on all the things of the economy, COVID, all these things that are happening to our community right now, and the fact that he said he could handle this part-time, he could handle it that wage, and he was happy to run for the job and get it. That's great. Now you want to move to full-time. I have no problem with that. Let's start at a good rate, which we are, and then upscale him as we see fit next year and the year after that if we need to. That would be my recommendation. The other thing I would say really quick, sorry, Commissioner. The other thing I would say too is looking at the RCW, I would question whether or not we need a city administrator and a mayor. The job descriptions are very similar. So are we, no offense to Mr. Brazell, I know he's on the phone, but are we looking at that or are we just going to load up,
Yeah, to answer your question, I don't think we have had that discussion, and I'm not sure that is actually within our authority or purview. However, that might be a valid discussion because usually, or I should say sometimes, the cities that have full-time mayors don't have full-time executives. they have more of a part-time executive position. So that's something that, you know, that probably is a city council issue.
So I'm going to agree with Brian on the 1107. I am not for it. I think we should have been notified. I think the city is somewhat divided. I sit a little different than Brian. A lot of people I've talked to thought the mayor's salary should have been higher. That's pretty common. Depends on who you know and where. And
That's very true.
so I also don't agree when people say 30 people called in to a meeting and 29 said no, and city council said yes. That's still a crosscut of the city.
Mhm.
I look at voting, you know, the big picture.
Right.
The other thing is, when I started in 2006 volunteering, something Michelle or someone brought up, Mayor Little was the mayor. I never saw Mayor Little. I worked with Jan Berg, the city administrator.
Mhm.
I worked very, very close with her for 3-4 months a year with Aquafest. I would have to agree with Michelle or whoever. Do we need a full-time mayor and a full-time city administrator? Because we would then have two. And I know the city was smaller. I agree. I know the workloads are bigger, but Mayor Little depended on Jan Berg a lot. And when Mr. Spencer came in, Jan Berg was retired, moved on. I don't know the story, okay, because I don't get into the politics of it. And Mayor Spencer chose not to go full-time, although he was full-time. He himself chose. That has been documented over the course of all of this. So I think there's a couple things on the table. Duties, I agree. Are they crossing? Things like that. I don't think that's our role to decide a city employee versus a council or a mayor. The other thing I want to stress, I do believe that a salary commission is very important to a city, because in the last 6 years, the majority of us, we didn't have any involvement in the city. We come from whatever we bring to the table. And I think that gives a fair cut. When you have city council and or the mayor choosing each other's salary, it's sort of like, hey, you know, I'm going to buy a new car, or I've had this or that. I need to raise my pay. If we did that in the government, that would be tough. So-and-so should get a raise and so-and-so shouldn't. And that's how I look at it when you pick your own salary. I've been a government employee for many, many, many years, and it's preset. The steps are there. You know how you're going to advance. You know what you have to do. And if 1107 passes, okay. I just think it's a wrong move to take the citizens off a committee. Are we going to take them off the park committee? Are we going to take them off the veteran committee? Because I can tell you personally, do I want to run for something if I know that you don't like what I have to say? So I'm just going to be removed.
Right.
So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Yes.
I'd like to add in a couple of things that were said. I don't want to interrupt anybody. You guys are having a great conversation, but Sue, I wanted to just address your concern about the information piece. I did, if you were listening last night, clarify that the information you got was a lot broader. It was, you got Snohomish County cities, you got the comparable cities that we use for staff, you got all the mayors and salaries throughout that. And there were 2 missing cities, Anacortes and Mount Vernon for 2020, which we were unable to get at the time in September. And we did show you the 2019 salaries for those 2 cities. And when I was able to go back this month and get the other information, I was able to get the 2020 salary. So that's why you see it updated in the council's packet. And we did do add a benefits portion with more extensive notes on benefits for the council, because they were considering the benefits package as well. So there were some differentiations, and we did shorten the list. We just showed them just the full time. We didn't want to, you know, bog them down because they weren't looking at council or anything else. So I would just say in the future, when you guys meet, tell me how you would like your information presented. I'm open to doing other calculations for you. Let me know. Other cities. you guys have had some great conversation. If you want more information or clarity, just let me know. The other thing I'd like to just confirm to the city administrator conversation, that's not the role. So I'd probably just not pursue any more conversation on that. And then I would like to just clarify that the task of the commission, and I'm trying not to get in the middle of things, but I know there's been a lot of talk on how this all became, and the mayor became full-time. That's already been decided. And now the task for you guys is just the salary. And that's based on the expectation of the mayor, not the performance. And so like when you hire somebody for a job, you know what the expectations of this job are, you apply for that. I understand the mayor didn't know, that the mayor applied for a part-time job at the time, but now that the expectation is a full-time job, that's where the salary should be set, not necessarily how the person is performing or how you want them to perform or expect them to perform. So that's just, from an HR perspective on what I'm just listening to your conversation. So I just thought I'd throw those 2 cents in. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is if you were listening last night, the council is directing the salary commission to meet in January to discuss this. So there can be more conversation. So we will set up a meeting in January for you guys to continue this. I know, Sue, you won't be on the commission in January. We'll miss you. But we will be recruiting to refill that vacancy here. I think it was posted today. So we will get that on the schedule and you guys continue this conversation. And in the meantime, if there is information out there that you would like, give me some time or send me an email, let me know right now what you would like me to get for you. And then we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you. We will do that. If we can figure out something different that we need, we'll let you know. All right. That is all I have on the agenda for today, other than adjourning. Is there anything else we need to discuss? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
And we have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so very much. I hope you have a wonderful, healthy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and be safe out there, folks.
And Michelle, I would like to thank you for leading this year's salary commissioner, because it has been a complete different year than in the past, and I believe you've done a good job.
Oh, thank you very much.
And Sue, I'd like to thank you for all your work in the city over the last several years, and everything you've done. I know you've been a consistent and almost a chronic volunteer, we'll call it, right? but congratulations on your next steps, and thank you for everything you've done for the city. Sincerely.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Sue, very much.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. On behalf of city staff and all of City Hall, thank you so much for all your service.
I'm moving into communication with seniors, if you're wondering.
Oh, you'll be great.
Very wonderful.
Our first newsletter, right? Go out.
I received it, and our manager, I live in over 55 development, he is installing a box, and we're going to be putting our newsletter out at the mailboxes.
Nice.
Nice.
Thank
I
you.
thought maybe you just had to talk louder, Sue. I wasn't sure what you were talking about there with communication with seniors.
Latest on the lake.
That there is a lack everywhere, that seniors do not have internet, they do not have
Yeah.
iPhones, and we don't have a newspaper, and they're isolating to no end.
Yeah.
And I believe that a lot of things are passing them up, and yet they are the #1 volunteers out there.
Yep.
Right.
Awesome.
That'll be wonderful work, Sue. Thank you for all your help, and it's been wonderful working with you for a brief amount of time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's
Take
right.
care.
Don't worry, Sue, you're not getting rid of me. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.